Kohala, YAHAWAH, YAHWEH, Bahashem, Kakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule all over the flock. Shalom and salutations to you brothers out here pushing words of truth and sincerity. Shalom to the Akim, Akwaf listening. All right, we the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, we're coming back to restore peace and mercy and belief in sound doctrine to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, who are you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, this is the times before the end. Scripture in 2nd Ezra talks about many great miseries shall be done in this time, in the latter end, because the men walked in great pride. And so we could see the great pride for years and years of the people. And now we're going to see the beginning of the great miseries of the people, man. And the bottom line is that we're caught up in this hell together, all right, as a unit, as a tribes, as believers. We caught up in this hell with the unbelievers, but the Lord is going to work a miracle for his believers. The Lord is going to allow his believers to be fed during times of famine. The Lord is going to allow his believers to be clothed. He's going to allow us to be housed and protected, as where he's not going to allow the same treatment for non-believers, man. And that's laughable to the unbelievers. Well, you're gonna just be destroyed too. Well, if it's war, you're gonna be dead too. And how? But they don't understand the for lack of better words, the magic or the miracles in which Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahweh, Bahashem, Kakwadash has shown, is showing, and will continue to show to his beloved chosen elect of the nation of Israel. Now, it's a lot going on. Obviously, still, it's a lot going on over there in Europe. It's a lot going on over there in Ukraine, Russia. All right, it's a lot going on throughout the world. And Great Millstone, we like to teach international news and show you how that's relevant to the scriptures, because World War III is going to be an international war, thermonuclear war, in which it's going to involve missiles being shot over here to America. But first, you're going to have turmoils and skirmishes, and you're going to have proxy wars going on, such as what's going on in Ukraine. Now, I'm going to show you a video of what's going on in Russia. All right, this is modern day Russia. Check this out.
Серега написал прошлую команду. Мы создаем электронику для КВН. Реально. Инженер, правильно говорю? Образование. What you just what you're watching is older woman in Russia, due to the high prices of food and the lack of food, the lack of bread, maybe coming from the war. However it came, there's somewhat of a slight famine going on, and the people over there is famished. And this woman has caught a bird and is eating the bird live, uncooked, live. She's eating the bird right where she caught it. All right, that's a state of desperation. See, this state is going to hit America. It's going to hit the world. Americans today, you look at our society, and then you look at the other societies, and then they say, well, that's a third world country. America's never going to be like that. It's called normalcy bias. Look it up. Well, all right, the Lord is going to allow America to be untouched. It's known as the virgin daughter of Babylon. It's been untouched. All right, it's never seen armies come to from other seas and cross seas and plant their weapons here and infiltrate. There's no foreign military bases on U.S. soil, but U.S. has over 1,000 military bases on other soils, other countries. So, long story short, this way of life is going to hit America drastically. How can you prepare for this? All right, well, there's no form of preparation. There's not enough, according to the scriptures, not enough preparation in what you could do. You can try to store up goods all you want, but the Lord will just send enough mighty men to your house to be able to infiltrate, come through your house, your doors, break through, and take your goods, man. So this woman has gotten to the point where she got to eat the bird straight off the street, straight off the corner, man. That's going to come to America. Let's continue, because there's plenty of stuff going on.
На пол! Кнопки не нажимаем, привозим. На пол! На землю! На землю пистолеты. Пистолеты на землю. Успокойся. Как тебя зовут?
What you watching is a man holding a grenade, in which it was a dummy. They found out, but he went to the bank and he's got this grenade trying to hold hostage. You know, the bank tellers to give him some money because the situation over there in Russia is so poor right now. You see, it has nothing to do with communism and democracy and whether we should vote with because we got a free democracy, we could vote our people in and this will never happen in America. Nah, it's just that time. And first of all, the Lord said in Joel, the 3rd chapter, that they shall beat these plowshares into swords and their pruning hooks into spears, which symbolizes how the nations are going to take their money from agriculture and normal things that build up societies and put their money and their financing into war, instruments of war. So the Russian military is ever the more stronger. Every time you see a situation of somebody in desperation in Russia, that's not telling of how strong or weak Russia is militarily. As a matter of fact, it shows you how strong they are militarily because the people are suffering. You see America, everyday average Americans suffering, and how unemployment is risen, and how food stamps is still needed. Over 13 million Americans, I forget the number, on food stamps, are living below the poverty line. This is not caused just by democracy. It's caused by the government spending money on war, because as the people lack, as food and agriculture lack, as according to Joel, the 3rd chapter, military spending is growing. You see, so no way, shape, and form is the military in any dire conditions. Only the people are. All right, this is all telling. All right, there's articles telling you trans women blocked from fleeing Ukraine. This is just more news showing what's going on for a lot of our people who think everything is all peachy keen and you're trying to save the world one love at a time. And well, the Lord hates your sexual preferences if it's against what He created you to be. All right, so you're out here trying to save the world. We love to see all you people, all you freedom fighters out there, go over to Ukraine and save some of these people. You wouldn't do that. Trans women blocked from fleeing Ukraine, because Ukraine and the majority of the earth outside of Western society understands that even if a man changes his sexual organs, he has not changed his sex. He still not has changed his sex. So they don't want to drink of that Babylonian cup anymore. And this is Ukrainians stopping trans people from fleeing. And Ukraine is supposed to be westernized, right? Let's continue. This is a depiction of pictures of a family that got taped up. You know why? Because they was caught stealing food in Ukraine. See, right now the situation is so dire in Ukraine, you don't know where you're gonna eat your next meal at. And obviously with Gerald Salente, as the Apostle Tahar always quotes, he says when the people have nothing else to lose, they lose it. So what do you think is going to happen? Here's a family. You could tell there's some teenagers involved here, some young people here. They just duct taped the whole family to the post and then painted their faces. All right. This is what happens when you get hungry and society turns upside down, man. Along with different forms of rape happen, along with different forms of what's the word? Cannibalism. All right. This is all leading up to where we coming from. Ukraine's going through it right now. Let's continue. Ukrainian refugees from Russian invasion increased to almost 3.5 million. So imagine, America's always trying to save the world. Where do you think these 3.5 million going to end up eventually? Well, it might be, don't be surprised when 2,000 new people who fled is going to show up on your doorstep in your neighborhoods. All right. And their way of life is going to enter into your neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? Don't be surprised when they get dropped off right in your neighborhoods. All right. When your neighbor got a Ukrainian last name. All right. So expect things to shift, man. The tides is changing for America. All right. Have Chinese spies infiltrated American campuses? They finding Chinese spies all throughout. And what's that mean? America, when a country spies out another country, it's for the loot. All right. It's for the loot. It's to spoil that nation, that country. So everybody understands that America
is like the lifeline. It is the place where you get fat. It has always been the golden cup. Babylon has been a golden cup in the nation's hands. All right, the merchant city, the great merchant city, America, where you could get fat and rich. These times are changing, man. Some of these countries who has all this American bought up all this American national debt. When you look it up, China has all types of debt in America, Japan as well, Russia as well. They have bought up American debt, and they're looking for a payday, man. And it's all coming back. They sending out spies and so forth and so on. Here's a depiction of how some of these supermarkets is looking across seas, man. What's left right there? Peanuts. You know, shelves is empty. A brand new interview that I saw from Instagram where the man was explaining the next 10 years there more than likely there's not going to be any milk production and yogurts and all of that. That's going to be all artificial. The fish is going to be all manufactured or produced from farms. All right. The meats are going to be all bio meats. All right. That's how half the meats. All right. The way we eat today is not going how they projected how it's going to be. And you people have no say so because you don't own the meat production companies. You don't have no say in whether America could just ban the consumption of live cattle anymore. You're not even privy to how they're destroying crops and how BG, all right, Bill Gates is coming around buying up all he's like the largest owner of agriculture in America right now. I mean of land. They're just buying up American land soil where these farms used to happen. So now they changing it, they changing everything, man. You know, you can't be shocked anymore. And lastly, you see what this is? This is video of missiles being shot from off of a ship off of the coast. See, you know, Americans think they trust so much in horses and they chariots that they think, nah, we got it. One way or another, we can't be touched, man. That is the sentiment of the average American. We cannot be touched. They can't touch us. All right, we will go over there and what? How are you gonna go over there and follow the submarine, which is a mile under the you know, beneath the sea level, and all he's got to do is come above ground and shoot a couple of these bad boys. So it's no turning back, man. We in a time of war. Things is happening right now that America, you either gonna have to bite the bullet and go ahead and be the peacekeepers of the world, so called, or you're gonna have to allow this machine, this bear, to go ahead, these meats to go ahead, Salaki, the Tubal and Meshach and Tubal, all right, to go ahead and take their land back, right? The bear to put the Lord's putting the hooks back into the bear's mouth, Ezekiel 38. All right. So without more, you know, we're going to get right up into the scriptures, man, because these things have been prophesied. We've been, the scriptures tell you a story of how often this used to happen. Sieges, all right, starvation, times of calamity and trouble, nation against nation warfare. It's all in the Old Testament, all right? It's all in the Old Testament. Now, this is a story from 2 Kings, the 7th chapter. This is during the prophet Elisha, his time. During the time of the Syrian siege that was going on of Israel. All right, the Syrians was rising, the most forceful army against us in that time, our biggest foe, our biggest enemy. And you can see through the scriptures how they dealt with us. 2 Kings 7:1. Then Elisha said, "Hear ye the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, tomorrow about this time shall a measure of fine flour be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel in this gate of Samaria." Now you have to understand the context was that was very cheap for a measure of fine flour to be sold for a shekel and 2 measures of barley for a shekel. That's very cheap, but at that time there was a great season. Let me see if I can skip forward a chapter. Right, let's go down to let's see if I could get the context right. You know, it's all about the king of Syria coming against Israel.
Yup. You can read this whole chapter and get the better understanding. Verse 15, 2 Kings 6 and 15. And when the servant of the man of Yahawah was risen early and gone forth, behold, and hosts compassed the city both with horses and chariots. And the servant said unto him, Alas, my master, how shall we do? So the city was being compassed, all right, around about with the armies. All right. It says here, verse 17, Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes, and he may see. And the Lord opened his eyes of the young man, and saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots round about Elisha. That's when the Lord opened up his eyes so that he doesn't fear. He could see all the chariots surrounding, the angels surrounding Elisha in Israel at that time, even when imminent danger was in the form of Syrians is right around the corner. See, the Most High will always have a way out, and only the spiritual will be able to see the way out. That's why we spiritual men. And how glorified, how beautiful is that the Lord can show you how many angels he has watching over you, even in imminent danger. Let's continue. Yep. Ben-Hadad besieges Samaria, right? Samaria is where Israelites dwelt at that time. And it came to pass, verse 24, after this, that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his hosts and went up and besieged Samaria. So there was a siege going on. And that's where the famine came. And there was a great famine in Samaria. And behold, they besieged it until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver. Now, on the contrary, this is where because of the siege, which no food is coming in, nobody's going out, no food's coming in. So the prices of the food went rocket high. And as you see, an ass's head, which is something that is cheap, that should normally be cheap, was sold for 80 pieces of silver. 80 is 60. So 60 pieces of silver got you an ass's head, and a fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. Imagine taking off your silver chain and giving it for some dove dung, some dove poop, man. That's what the sieges became, right? And that's where the story of the woman, right, who was sacrificing her child, and what day we're gonna eat my child, and kill your son, and we can eat it. And this, Israel was in a bad place. So when you skip forward to the next chapter, it says here, then Elisha said, Hear ye the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, tomorrow about this time shall a measure of fine flour be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley be sold, barley for a shekel in the gate of Samaria. So he's saying that the prices of food is going to go from extremely overpriced, inflation, to complete the opposite in a day. That's the word from the Lord. Now check how they responded to it. Then a Lord on whose hand the king leaned and answered the man of Yahawah and said, Behold, if the Lord would make the windows in heaven, might this thing be? And he said, Behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not eat of it. So the officers of the king is basically saying that the Lord ain't gonna do this. The Lord can't do this. It says here that couldn't happen even if the Lord opened the windows of heaven. He's trying to say if the Lord even poured down food, the only way we can have this happen is if the Lord rained food, because there's a siege going on. And even if the Lord could do that, it wouldn't happen. So this was a complete unbeliever. Once again, we face unbelievers all throughout the nation of Israel, man. But Elisha said, look, it will happen. You'll see it with your own eyes, but you won't eat any of it. All right. Now here's how it all went down. Verse 3, and there were 4 leprous men at the entering in the gate at the entering in of the gate, and they said, and pay attention, one to another, why sit we here until we die? Now the leprous man was at the gate. I'm gonna ask you a question, and I'll answer in a second, but if you might know the answer. Why were the leprous men at the gate? All right. Why were the leprous men at the gate, at the entering in the gate? So they weren't inside; they were out the gate. Why were they there? It says, why sit we here until we die? So they're reasoning with each other like, yo, look. If we just sit here and wait here at this gate, we're just going to die. There's a siege going on. Verse 4, if we say, and the answer is because the leprous men wasn't allowed to enter into be amongst the people. Leprous men, the rules were that leprous men had to be outside the gate, or at the gate and outside the gate. Okay, that was just what happened with leprosy. All right. Many points throughout the scripture, it tells you why that leprous men weren't allowed to be amongst the congregation. All right, and so they dwelt right there at the gate, and that's the only place that they could be. The outskirts, they were outcasts. It says here, if we say we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit here, we die also. Now there come and let us fall unto the hosts of the Syrians. If they save us alive, we shall live, and if they kill us, we shall but die. So they reasoning like, look, man, if we could sit here and die. We can go inside the city and die. There's a siege there. We're gonna die anyway. If we go to the Syrians, if they kill us, we die. But if they keep us alive, we're gonna live. All right, reason. It says, and they rose up in the twilight to go into the camp of the Syrians. And when they were come to the uttermost part of the camp of Syria, behold, there was no man there. It says, for the Lord had made the host of the Syrians to hear a noise of chariots and a noise of horses, even the noise of a great host. And they said one to another, lo, the king of Israel hath hired against us the kings of the Hittites and the kings of the Egyptians to come upon us. So the Most High caused such a loud noise to be heard that didn't even exist. All right, we're talking miracles now. The Syrian army heard thousands of chariots coming towards them in the middle of the night, and decided to get the hell out of Dodge, because they figured that the king of Israel hired some of the Egyptians and the Hittites to take them down in the middle of the night. It says, wherefore they arose and fled in the twilight, and left their tents and their horses and their asses, even the camp as it was, and fled for their lives. Right? It say here, they panicked. And when these lepers came to the uttermost part of the camp, they went into the one tent and did eat and drink, and carried thence silver and gold and raiment, and went and hid it. Man, they got so much abundance. Imagine the whole camp of the Syrians, of the army that is besieging Samaria at the time. That had to be a large camp, and they left gold. They had all types of food, right? Now see how the Lord is working. Remember what the Lord promised Elisha. It says in raiment, and went and hid it. So they started hiding. They had so much in abundance that they started hiding it. All right, within the camp. It said, and came again and entered into another tent, and carried thence also, and went and hid it. So they had 2 different camps worth of gold and silvers and food, and they were just hiding everything. It was like walking into a treasure. That's literally what they walked into. These 4 leper men. It says, then they said one to another, we do not well. This day is a day of good tidings, and we hold our peace. If we tarry till the morning light, some mischief will come upon us. Now therefore come, that we may go and tell the king's households. So now, reasoning with each other, they realize, yo, we got to go ahead and share this, man. Like, we can't just have everything we want here to ourselves, even though we lepers, even though we've been, the Lord is, plagued us with this. And nah, man, we got to go back to Samaria and share this. We got to share this wealth. We got to share this good news. This is our responsibility. We can't remain silent. We can't enjoy it selfishly. We got to go ahead and share this. And so that's like this word. I want to make a quick point. That's like this word. Brothers who get this word, you have it. All right. You want to hide it. You want to just take care of you and yours. But the Lord said, nah, you go ahead and you publish this word. Good tidings to them, for them that publish the word. Happiness comes to those that publish the word. Peace and mercy comes to those that publish the word. The Lord wants this good news out. And they was even willing to see that this was good news. We got to share it. And how much more is what we stumbled upon, this truth, like precious, like fine, like gold. Scriptures say, the things of the Most High searched out, how precious. All right.
the things searched out. I believe it's Romans 6:33 or Matthew 6:33. And so these are gifts in which we got to share. So he said that we may go and tell the king's household. So they came and called unto the porter of the city, and they told them, saying, we came to the camp of the Syrians, and behold, there was no man there, neither voice of man, but horses tied and asses tied, and the tents were as they were. And he called the porters, and they told it to the king's house within. So the news is spreading. You see the next part, Israel plunders the camp. And the king arose in the night and said unto his servants, I will now show you what the Syrians have done to us. They know that we be hungry, therefore are they going out of the camp to hide themselves in the field, saying, when they come out of the city, we will catch them alive and get. So you have to understand, the king was worried. The king thought it was a sneak attack. So he's like, nah, like, they trying to trick us, man, to leave in the city so they could kill us. It says, we shall catch them alive and go into the city. So he's being reasonable. He's using wisdom here. And one of his servants answered and said, let some take, I pray thee, 5 of the horses that remain, which are left in the city. Behold, they are as all the multitude of the Israel that are left in it. Behold, I say, they are even as all the multitude of the Israelites that are consumed. And let us send and see. And what that means here on the right, NLT, it says, one of his officers replied, we had better send out scouts to check into this. Let us take 5 of the remaining horses. If something happens to them, it will be no worse than if they stay here and die with the rest of us. So that's why a king has counselors. That's why brothers have counsel amongst each other. Is because the Lord might let you see the issue and the real problem and be prudent enough to see, like, we should hold off and wait and direct. Let's slow down. But he'll have another man come in and give you an answer to that, so that you can work together towards the same purpose. That's what counsel is so significant. Verse 14. So that he's going to send spies instead now. They took therefore 2 chariot horses, and the king sent after the host of the Syrians, saying, go and see. And they went after them unto Jordan, and lo, all the way was full of garments and vessels, which the Syrians had cast away in their hastes. And the messengers returned and told the king. So the scouts, they proved it right. Wow, this really did happen. And the people went out and spoiled the tents of the Syrians. So a measure of fine flour was sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel, according to the word of the Lord. Remember, verse 1 and 2, the man did not believe. One of the king's men didn't believe. The officer, he didn't believe. He said, man, look, even if the Lord opened up the windows of heaven, this wouldn't still happen. Right? He did not believe. And one thing I'm reading about in the commentary section, it said, he doubted the messenger of Yahawah. Though the promise was admittedly hard to believe, the king's officer could have and should have believed it, because it came from a man with an established track record of reliability. All in all, the officer well illustrates the conduct of unbelief. Unbelief dares to question the truthfulness of Yahweh's promise itself. Unbelief says this is a new thing, it cannot be true. Unbelief says this is a sudden thing, it cannot be true. Unbelief says there is no way to accomplish this thing. Unbelief says there is only one way Yahweh can work. Unbelief says even if Yahweh does something, it won't be enough. And that was the king officers mind frame. That's the mind frame of your typical unbelievers, man. Nah, it won't work. Nah, it's not gonna be enough. Nah, he can't do it. Nah, the Lord ain't never did this before. Or we ain't been alive. He did it in the ancient world. He don't do that no more. And all that, thousands and millions of reasons why not to believe. And all you need is a little faith just to believe. The Lord got on men who didn't have enough faith, man. Oh, ye little faith. And he got on men because they didn't have faith. It's important as you start at faith, man. The substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. You need faith, or you're not going to believe that the promise of the Lord is going to come true. Verse 17, the king appointed the Lord, and remember what Elisha told the man after he said that. And the king appointed the Lord, on whose hand he leaned to have the charge of the gate, which is that same officer. And the people trode upon him in the gate, and he died, as the man of Yahweh said, who spake when the king came down to him.
right? Everything that was happened exactly how the man of Yahweh had predicted when the king came to his house. And it came, verse 18, it came to pass as the man of Yahweh had spoken to the king, saying, 2 measures of barley for a shekel, and a measure of fine flour for a shekel shall be tomorrow about this time in the gate of Samaria. And the Lord said, answered the man of Yahweh, and said, now behold, if the Lord should make windows of heaven, might such a thing be? And he said, behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not eat thereof. And so it fell out unto him, for the people trod upon him in the gate, and he died. That same people, man, officer of the, high and mighty, he had no hope, he had no faith. He believe that the Most High could do such a thing, and even if he did such a thing, it wouldn't be enough, and so forth and so on. And the word came down from militia from the Most High that, yeah, he gonna see it, it's gonna happen, but you're not gonna eat of it, because he got trampled and died. And thus saith the Bible, man. We got stories all the time to back us up, brothers, to remember the times beforehand that there's nothing to the Most High to deliver. His arm is not short that he cannot save, man. Lord willing, this video is edifying to the flock. Till next time, shalom.